the statement that I said for the Packers, and it's a pretty big statement. I think this is probably the biggest statement that you can make, and this is certainly a hot take. Well, maybe it's not so much of a hot take, but this is definitely an early call. But the Green Bay Packers, in my mind, will win the Super Bowl. They are by far the best team in the NFL right now. They are the most complete team in the NFL right now. It reminds me a lot of the 2010 Super Bowl winning Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is playing fantastic. He's playing at an MVP caliber, and the Packers have a pretty good defense. It's not a great defense, but it's a passable defense that has some really good players. Probably the best corner duo in the the best safety duo in the NFL, or one of the best safety duos. Plus a really good cornerback in Alexander, and they are really hard to stop. They are really hard to keep up with in terms of scoring. And the only team that can do that is Kansas City, and I'm not very confident in Kansas City, which is why I'm going ahead with my opinion saying that the Green Bay Packers will win the Super Bowl. As much as it is the fact that I'm confident in how well Aaron Rodgers is playing and how confident he seems, it's also the fact that I just don't see consistency in any of the remaining AFC teams that would be able to slow down the Packers enough to beat them. The Kansas City Chiefs potentially playing without Patrick Mahomes this next week, although I think we'll play. Obviously, we'll get into that a little bit later. But the Bills have had some slow starts as well. They beat the Ravens, but it wasn't a tremendous performance, especially by the offense. I think the defense is what carried the Bills in that game to be able to shut down Lamar, which is great, but Lamar is not Aaron Rodgers. It's a different style quarterback, obviously. But when I look at Green Bay this season, I take a look at the confidence in Aaron Rodgers and just how relaxed and confident he seems. And you take a look at that demeanor, and it's like, well, how do you stop a man who knows he's that bad, like that bad of a man? How do you stop somebody like that? And maybe, my thinking is, and that this is such a funny thought, it's that, at the beginning of the season, everybody was absolutely clowning on the Green Bay Packers organization, as they rightfully should have, for drafting Jordan Love in the first round instead of a wide receiver. Somebody like a CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb was taken at that point, but like a Justin Jefferson, a Rashad Higgins, like there were good wide receivers available, and they chose Jordan Love, and everybody's like, well, how is that going to affect Aaron Rodgers? Like, he's got to be pissed. He's got to be really upset. And not only, the debate about how he felt about it, that's neither here nor there, but the drafting of Jordan Love has not damaged Aaron Rodgers' product on the field. It's only made him better. It's propelled him to have one of the most impressive seasons that he's had in his entire career. And I just find that mind-blowing, and I'm like, well, maybe there's like a 5% chance that Matt LaFleur and the GM or the owner of the Packers, there's maybe like a 1.5% chance that they actually knew what they were doing when they were poking the bear that is Aaron Rodgers, that he was going to come out and play this incredible. But I don't know. That seems like a long shot, but the irony is not past me that this happened. Everybody thought that Aaron Rodgers was going to be super pissed, and maybe he was pissed, and maybe that is what allowed him to have this great season. But I just find it so funny that this happened the way that it did. But to that point, the fact that they didn't draft a wide receiver, the wide receiver core this year has really shown up for the Green Bay Packers. I think Davante Adams has cemented himself, implanted himself as a top 3 wide receiver in this league, especially when you take a look at what a perceived top 3 wide receiver Michael Thomas did last night against the Buccaneers. That's a big fat 0 catches for 0 yards. I don't think he was even targeted more than twice. But Davante Adams, Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers have been having all stellar seasons. And obviously, I think David Bakhtiari is injured, so the offensive line is a little bit intact. But they I guess the saying is that defense has won championships, and the Green Bay Packers just walked over the number one ranked defense in the NFL. And when you see that, and sure, Aaron Donald was not at 100%. Obviously, Aaron Donald after the game was devastated. He was crying. That was a really rough image to see. But when you take a look at the score from that game, very similar to what I called it to be. I said 31-13 Packers. It ended up being 33-18, I believe. Something along those lines. But you take a look at what Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers were able to do to the number one ranked defense in the NFL, and you say it's very hard to take a look at that and say, yeah, the Packers are not going to win a Super Bowl this year. And sure, maybe you could say, well, that's recency bias. That's completely reactionary journalism right there, reacting to what you see as opposed to thinking about it in a more analytical and logical way. But I'm not looking at just the last week. I'm looking at the entire season's body of work, and I'm taking a look at the mental side of the game and how this Green Bay Packers team seems mentally more confident, more consistent, and more dangerous than the other two remaining teams in the AFC. And I think what would be the trump factor over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is that apart from Tom Brady, that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team has no experience, very little experience in the playoffs up to this point. And the offense didn't impress me. Again, it's the defense that won the game against the Saints for Tampa Bay. It was Devin White, and it was Huntling with those interceptions against Drew Brees. A Drew Brees that wasn't at the top of his game clearly that won that game. So I take a look and it's like, well, I see that the Packers at this point are really favorites to be in the Super Bowl, and for me, they're favorites to win it. And I don't see any consistency on the AFC side enough to make me change in that opinion. The Packers will win the Super Bowl. I'm stamping on it. I'm marking this moment and gonna come back to it. We'll see how it pans out. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this segment from the Hard-Headed Sports Podcast. If you're interested in watching more highlights from the show as they come out after the show's completion, you should definitely hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell to turn on those notifications so you never miss an upload. If you're interested in listening to the whole show in its entirety, you can listen to the show on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. Again, thank you so much for watching the show. I hope you have an incredible day, and I will see you all very soon.